This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Let's talk with the great David Dwork. Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork. You can catch his work at the Hockey News. You can also catch the Hockey Show with Roy Bellamy. How you doing, my brother? You doing good? Oh, wait a minute. Not hearing you. No. Mike.
Yep. Now,
there you go. There you go.
We got it. I plugged in the good mic for you and everything. I got to get it working.
Yeah, you got to get it working. You doing good?
Oh man, Well, now that I got my shit together and the microphone's working, yeah, I'm great. It's been a crazy month or so, especially the last little while. But the way it ended, I wouldn't trade it for anything at this point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But by the way, just finishing off what I was just talking, isn't it kind of screwed up, right? That women's sports really doesn't grow because women overall don't support women's sports.
You know, I've been paying attention to what's happening in the WNBA. I have been tracking what's been happening in women's hockey, and I still feel like I need to just stay in my lane with this one.
I'm not afraid of controversies, but it's one of those where they're great at coming over to male sports because we're dragging them over to the games mostly, or they're coming for their husbands or boyfriends or whatever. You rarely see groups of women going to sporting. It happens, but it's minute, it's small. You know what I'm saying? But women.
Well, that's the trend is to go there, right? Like it has to start somewhere,
right?
Like and women's sports has never been as big as they are now, so it just has to continue on that progression, I would think.
Women love hockey, bro. I mean, hockey. The hottest
with everything else.
The hottest on average go to hockey games, not football games or basketball games. Actually, the best looking women are usually at hockey games. Actually, but it's a male.
I've seen the Heat games are like a club.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I know. But they're less covered up at the Heat games, whereas
yeah. That's a good point. So it's a little hotter down by South Beach, not at South Beach, down in Miami than it is up in Sunrise. But no, just to the point.
A hot look is a woman in a hockey jersey. That's a hot.
Don't get me started.
Right? I mean, that's a super hot look. Ladies, I want you to know, women in hockey jerseys.
Yeah, because they're like big sweaters. They're like big sleepers. It's just the jersey. But I mean, that used to be one of my favorite things with my wife back in the day. It's been a little while, but when she used to run around when she were in apartments or whatever, and she would just have one of my hockey jerseys on. It's very sexy.
Hot, definitely, yeah. But it is odd how women's sports don't get supported by women. Just like in soccer, one of the things I've been talking about forever. Go look at all the soccer stars. They're all short, dude. They're all 5'5" and 5'6", 5'7", 5'8". I love how we say, well, if LeBron played soccer. No, dude. Our short athletes go out to become lawyers and doctors and teachers and garbage men and post office and all that stuff. They're not going to the NFL, the NHL. Theo Fleury is not normal in the NHL, just like Dustin Pedroia is not normal in baseball. Yet, that's what's normal in soccer. The weirdest thing is our American short athletes don't go play soccer. They go and become professionals and careers and other things. These are the dilemmas that I think about right there. Okay.
I like it.
Americans that don't go play soccer could make us a powerhouse, and women not supporting women's sports.
Well, I think just to put a bow on what I was going to say about the women's sports, I think it will see a change because with so many other things, you've got to go to the youth and you've got to start there as they get older and let the game grow with them. So I feel like the younger women who are watching the Caitlin Carts and the Angel Reeses of the world right now are going to be, as they get older and they start driving and they start doing out with their friends, that's what they're going to want to do together. I hope. And that's what I think where the growth would come from.
I hope so, because then it would become a monster if women backed it. There's more of them than us.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? It would be amazing. All right, so let's talk about it, bro. You've been covering it for years. I've been talking about it for years. They finally got the entire combination together. You knew they had ownership. You knew they had the right coach. You knew you had to get the right players. And then you had to stay healthy That's been the other knock on them because they were so banged up before at the end of a season. You had everything fall in place for you, and you put it together, dude. Pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, I mean, it started with Zito, bringing in Bill Zito and setting the team up for success. He built one hell of a roster, and we saw last year they had a great roster, had a great system. Then injuries happened. You know, the luck doesn't go your way, and that's part of it. They came back this year just as prepared. They increased their depth to try to mitigate what happened from last year. And as you said, things fell their way. Like everything was there, everything was put into place, and it all worked out this year. And that doesn't always happen. You could be the best team in the regular season, you could have the best players, you could have help. It all has to come together at the right time. So the fact that happened for the Panthers, the way that the last few years have been building up to it, I am thrilled for the team, for the fans, for everybody that I know that works for the organization. It's just been awesome for it to come to fruition for everybody, and it's just been cool. It's been great. Like last year in Vegas, being on the ice after they lost and seeing the other team celebrating with their media, and it was cool. It was awesome to be a part of, but there was certainly a feeling in my chest where I was like, man, what would this be like to do it with my team, with my friends, with the people who I know? And so to have that kind of become a reality the other night was is a life-changing experience. You know, it was like one of those things that like you will take to the grave, and I'm forever grateful, because just because you're in the position to get there doesn't mean you're going to get there.
Yeah.
So,
and let me tell you again, you know, you see it all the time, dude. You know, the Heat are in good hands because you got the Arison family and Riley overall, and that's 25 years. And you look at Inter Miami now, and you see what the Moss brothers are doing, and obviously those maniacs want to win badly, and they prove it to you. And you got to have ownership that is truly dedicated. And Viola and Sifu, bro, the dedication that Viola has shown, to me, that's the most important factor out of all of it. Sure, you need Zito. Sure, you need Palmery. Sure, you need great players. Sure, you need Matt Caldwell to be an excellent president. Of course, you need all of that. But man, if you have a Bruce Sherman type of commitment, you're not going to get Vinnie Viola results. Sorry.
How many ownership groups did this team go through before it got to Mr. Viola, before he kind of regulated everything, started investing into the team? It's been a long process, and it absolutely has to start from the top, and everything trickles down from there. It started with Viola, then he went and hired Caldwell. Caldwell went out the extensive thing. They got in Zito. They made the decision after the President's Trophy season, we need to make a change. They brought in Maurice. It all trickles down. And we actually, Roy Bellamy and I, my co-host of the hockey show, we caught up with Mr. Viola on the ice on Monday night. And after thanking him for everything that, he's done for the team, obviously, it was just interesting hearing him appreciate all the work and the layers of time and effort that they had to put in. And obviously, the blood, sweat, and tears of writing checks can obviously be very painful for some of us more than others. But it's still, this is, they invest. That's what these guys do. And the fact that he was able to recognize what kind of an asset the Panthers were when he made the purchase and then invested properly and built this up, I mean, it's spectacular. And the fact that it's happening to the Florida Panthers, like I turn on my TV, and I see Barkov with the Panthers logo on his chest, raising the cup. We've been watching these videos for our whole lives of other teams in that moment. So to see the Panthers doing it, like, it still hasn't completely sunk in yet. It is spectacular.
And listen, you've watched them now. This is 5 straight years of the playoffs. This is, from President's Cup to runner-up in the finals to now winning it. This was, by winning it, you kind of like cross that threshold. You break that glass ceiling of trust. That all of a sudden now, I think you've watched the culture being built and you've watched the fan base being built. My God, we had 15, 20,000 people sitting in the arena watching a game that was on the road. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
But if you would have lost this, you would have lost that trust and you would have lost some momentum that you would have had to kind of rebuild again. And you see it with the Dolphins. No matter what the Dolphins do, they're never trusted. And why? Because they have failed every time for many, 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 many years, as far as people can remember, because people don't remember the 70s anymore. And all they remember is that the Dolphins are they never get it over the hump. And for the Panthers to win, I just think it does what the Heat has done. It just opens up the door now for this really long-term build of a culture and the franchise. I think now fans will be interested on the fringe shit that the Panthers do. The stuff that they would yawn and wouldn't care about and wouldn't even read that you write. Now they're going, let's be honest,
Yeah. No, dude. Nobody's interested if they're not doing well. Like that's South Florida.
And now they're going to be, you know how we are with the Heat, that we're fucking looking at Summer League, dude. Like, like we never gave a shit about Summer League 10 years ago, but now that they're starting to have success and all those things, we're going to care more about the draft now. We didn't give a shit about the draft, but people, even though they're not going to know who the hell he is, they're just going to go, oh, so who'd the Panthers draft, bro? And I just think the winning really just shatters it. And now I just think it's going to start, like, it's a tsunami now, what's going to happen for them and their fan base.
Yeah, I think you kind of referencing the Heat is a perfect reference point for what this could become. And the trust is a great place to start from that, because with the Heat, and you talk about how people are watching the Summer League now and tracking the draft, that's because they trust that if they pay attention to that and they know about these smaller details, that they're going to come into effect on the top end, and they know that this team builds like that, and that's where the success comes from. So when you're talking about the Panthers, why not the same thing? Fans realize, hey, this team is going to be good for a few years. Maybe I should pay attention to the guy they just drafted. Maybe I should look and see what's happening in Charlotte and pay attention to the next generation of Panthers players, because I'm going to be interested for years to come. And that's what winning does to South Florida sports fans. That's why, as you said, the Dolphins, God love them. And I love the Miami Dolphins as much as my kids, man. Like that goes deep. And there's no faith that they can win a big game right now. Just getting to a big game is like an accomplishment, which kind of sucks. But, it is what it is.
Been like that for decades.
Yeah, since I was a kid.
Decades of this.
With Dan Marino and even those teams,
never trusted
Mr. Marino. They didn't win big games. They made the playoffs, but that ever happens, I will lose my shit. Like, that's the thing. Like, I feel like if the Dolphins win a Super Bowl, it'll be like having kids. And there's a video of me celebrating like an idiot when the Panthers won the other night, and I lost it a little bit, but I know we're supposed to talk about hockey, but just I love the Dolphins, and if they ever prove that they can win a big game, man, like that would, I feel like as much as this town gets behind the Heat and they're getting behind the Panthers, I feel like if the Dolphins ever get to a point where they're like a perennial winning team, it will not compare to anything down here.
Nothing will come close to a Dolphin celebration. Nothing will come close to that. But but that's, to me, that was the most important thing, because if you would have lost that game 7, it just, the whole President's Trophy, then last year and then this year, and it just becomes one of those things. I've seen it with Dolphin fans. They just don't trust. And they're always nervous about anything and everything that goes on with the Dolphins. There's never real confidence in the Dolphins. And that's always been with us with the Panthers too, because you've kind of been an upstart team whenever you've been there. The President's Cup, you were kind of a finesse team. Back in the 90s, you were just happy to be there, that kind of stuff. And now this is as legit as it gets, dude. And that, to me, and let me tell you something, it becomes a sweeter championship because the fact that you fell into the abyss of 3 games and how mentally it can screw with you, and for you to dig deep and put that effort where you played your game in game 7, that by the end of that 3rd period, the Oilers wanted nothing to do with the fucking Panthers.
No, they were exhausted.
They were exactly there. And that's when we said, bro, this is your game. Now you're back. This is the Panthers that we've been watching, because that's the Panthers we were watching the first 3. Well, two games in a third, because really the Oilers outplayed them in that first game.
Yeah,
Really,
Bob stole game one.
Bob,
Yeah,
Bob,
for sure.
Bob was the man in game one. You know what I'm saying?
Bob stole a game for the Panthers. McDavid stole a couple games for Edmonton. That's how it should be when you get to a series like this. The order of the games and how they were won maybe makes it a little odd, but
Right.
otherwise, I mean, it was a great series. And I'm just as you're kind of talking about it, I'm thinking about the trust factor, and it all goes back for me to Zito, because
Yeah.
when he makes a move, you just assume at this point that, oh, this is going to be great for the team, because every move he's made has been great for the Panthers. And if a guy didn't work out, he flips him and finds a way to make it work in the future, but not just for his team. He does right by the guy who gets traded. Like, he's just, it blows my mind, that for 3 of the 4 years he's been in the Panthers, he's been a finalist for the GM of the year and has not won any of them.
Yeah,
It baffles me. And, to his credit, he doesn't give a shit. Like, I remember talking to him last year at the draft, and I was like, hey, after he had lost, I was like, does it bother you or do you care? And he looked me dead in the face and he's like, all I care about is that big silver cup.
Yeah.
He's happy right now. But for me, like, dude, the guy changed the franchise. Hiring him was the move, but everything he's done since then has been great for this team. So for me, it starts there, because if you trust the guy who's picking the players, make the right choice. I mean, what's the problem at that point? Like, your team's going to be great, and they have been.
Yeah, no, and listen, Conn Smythe or the Jim Gregory, those are things that they deserve. But in the end, that's what I tell fans, brother. They got the Stanley Cup. That's the one that matters. That's the one that's going to make all of them happy. Because if you win the Conn Smythe and you win the Jim Gregory, but you don't win the cup, it doesn't mean shit. It just won't. Just go look at Connor McDavid. When they asked him about Smythe, he was like, bro, I don't give a shit. Basically, he told you, he didn't say it this way, but I'll paraphrase what he said. I don't give a shit about the Conn Smythe, bro. I wanted the cup. I don't want the Conn Smythe. That's basically what he was saying, saying it, and I don't blame him, because that's what
maybe
happened.
He felt he didn't really deserve it since he went the last 2 games without a point, or I think a shot. So, that's maybe another topic, but I feel like the McDavid love, and he was.
So we took it away from
first
Bob.
place ballot.
So we took it away from Bob because he had a couple of bad games. I mean, it goes both ways, right?
For shutting down the defense, like the way he defended in that series, on top of I think what kind of irked me wasn't so much that McDavid got it, was when I saw the ballots. He was first on every ballot except for one. And that was it, really? Was he that good? He had 2 amazing games. Maybe one of the, maybe the play of the series. I feel like I'm being a little bitch right now because the Panthers won the cup and I'm like worried about this. But to me, it was just like, I cringed a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I get it. But in the end, they got the one that that matters, which is the Stanley Cup. And to me, that's what it's all about right there, man. And let me tell you, what happened also that night, you justified the Bob move, because the Bob move was not a good move. And it's interesting how the series mirrors Bob's career with the Panthers, because you go into the abyss by losing those 3 games, and you have to find yourself to come back and win and believe in yourself, right? Well, Bob fell into the abyss after signing that contract and all the expectations. He was terrible, and he was not the guy that you expected. And then even last year, it took like a 4-string goaltender to get you into the playoffs. And then, Bob had but this year, Bob played Vezina Trophy style hockey, and he had a great playoff run. I don't care about 2 games where it really wasn't all about him. The people in front of him also completely sucked at times. They were completely discombobulated in front of him at that time. So it was all a thing. But, for Bob to come back from the abyss like he did, dude, it's super freaking impressive what he did to come back, and it justifies everything. After everything, Viola and Sifu can sit there and say, okay, it finally worked out for us, all this money we gave the goaltender.
Yeah, you definitely trade that contract for a Stanley Cup when he signed it, so it's worked out pretty well. I really think
You signed him for a cup, right? You got it. A couple years later, that's all. You know?
A lot of the credit for this has to go to Maurice, though, for the way that and for the defensive systems he plays, because now Bob is in such a better situation, kind of similarly to when he played in Columbus under Tortorella, just because they play such a sound game in front of him that they let him really focus on stopping that first shot, not have to worry as much about second and third chance opportunities that kicked his ass for the first few years he was in Florida. So while Bob, credit to him, work ethic, unmatched, unrivaled, his demeanor and the way he focuses never shifted, which allowed him to kind of survive those few years and get to this point. But I mean, it just kind of goes back to what we were just saying. Oh, it's all full circle, right? Like Mo came in, Zito, all the signings, like it all had to happen in the perfect way. And now they're Stanley Cup champions.
Dude, was the loneliest guy in the NHL Jonathan Huberdeau the other night?
Ooh, I hope not. I mean, yeah, that I hope he was enjoying it for his former teammates a bit.
There's no
but
fucking
yeah, I mean,
he was enjoying it, bro. There's
he's
no
got a
way.
lot of friends on the team, so I'm sure he was really happy for those guys. But I mean, I don't want to speak for him. If it was me, I would certainly be watching on my TV, feeling a little left out. Like that should have been me, that could have been me. But this is such a different team than the one that he last played on here. Like it's almost not recognizable.
No.
But yeah, I'm sure that had to suck a little bit. It would suck for me.
Dude, the DNA of this team is completely different. Remember, bro, I was playing the Meow Meow song for them.
Yeah.
Okay?
They've come a long way. They've come
right?
a long way, man.
Yeah, because I was so fucking tired of watching Trocheck get his ass kicked and nobody did a goddamn thing, dude. And,
the guys that would do anything. It was very confusing.
Yeah, and Zito came in and realized the same thing I realized. Bro, we got a bunch of wussies here. We need to toughen up this team. And it started with Radko Gudic and everybody else. And and now this team doesn't take any shit from anybody. I'm telling you, they're the Kings from 12 years ago. They're big, they're physical, they're fast, they take no shit, they wear on you. Yeah, that's what you need in hockey. You know what I mean? It was. And so Huberdeau and Barkov were, like I told you a few years back, you're led by two goobers, and you just can't. And as great as Barkov is, there's no fire there. Now, here comes Kachuck. Couple years in, even Barkov has some fire now because it's the atmosphere around him, Kachuck and everybody else, that's rubbed off on him a little bit more. He's more emotional than we've ever seen Alexander Barkov, and that's what you kind of needed. The whole attitude had to change of this team, and it started with that Kachuck move, bro. That Kachuck move is the move that just really took this franchise to the next level. A superstar that will do anything that it takes to win. That's rare, dude. Gretzky is not throwing himself in front of pucks. Neither is Brett Hull. Okay? And they're great. And he's not their offensive talent. But I love that this guy will scrap, will keep a puck in a corner, will dive and block a shot, will score, will assist, will fight.
Yeah.
My God, Kachuck does anything and everything that it takes to win. And that's when the best player is willing to do that, it just sets the table. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. And talking about the luck of things, for all the great moves and the great decisions that Bill Zito has made, like he'll tell you that Kachuck move basically fell into his lap.
Yeah.
And hey, awesome. Here's two of our best players for one of the best young players in the league. But it just kind of goes to show how you set yourself up to be in a good spot to succeed. The Panthers had to be a team that Kachuck wanted to go to for that to have happened. And that starts with, as you said, Zito building the culture, bringing in Gudis, bringing in Hornquist, who's still with the team in terms of the impact that he's had on the culture. So, yeah, it's pretty spectacular. Oh, and yeah, Matthew Kachuck, he really personifies what this team tries to do on the ice.
Oh, man. I mean, he's just one of my favorite players to watch, because I just love that he will sacrifice anything. I mean, to play with a broken clavicle. Bro, are you kidding me? I mean,
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler can't play the next day after he's hanging out at the tennis tournament all day. This guy's playing with a broken clavicle.
You can't compare basketball and hockey.
I know, but I'm just saying that's where you laugh at basketball compared to hockey. That these guys, the guy fucking scored with a broken clavicle, if I'm correct.
They cracked his sternum in game 3, and then he scored after it happened. He scored the tying goal that sent that game to overtime. He could barely move. You see him celebrating; his arms aren't going up. And then the next game he played again. His family was not happy with him for playing. Maurice said he probably shouldn't be playing, but he's not going to tell him no at that point. And then he went out there and he played and he struggled. He sat on the bench for a lot of that game. And then afterwards, him and Maurice had a little come to Jesus moment, like, dude, you can't be out there. He's like, I know, but he had to try. And that's who he is. And that's who hockey players are. It's not just a Matthew Kachuck thing. I guarantee you 95% of the NHL would have done the same thing. That's just hockey culture.
Right. Yeah. Listerine gets whacked in the knee. Jimmy Butler's out for 2 months for that there.
And Sam Bennett, they both got taken out and they came back like the same period. We're worried about them missing time. We're scrambling in the press box and oh shit, he's back on the bench already.
Yeah. I know his name. I just call him Listerine.
No, you're good, brother.
It's all good. Okay, so Reinhardt, you got to give him a lot of money. Okay, but I'm also watching the Kachuck brother hanging out there. Do we bring the Kachuck brother too? I know the cap ain't that big, no, but seriously, what happens now this offseason? Because I know you're going to have most of the team back, but Montour and Reinhardt are a couple of huge free agents for this team.
Yeah, well, the Panthers, Zito has a lot of money to spend. I think they only have like 11 or 12 players under contract into next year. I'm sure they're going to bring some guys back. I would think like Kevin Stenlund, Ryan Lombard, a lot of those grit and blue guys, they will be desired to come back. Sam Reinhardt, I am expecting a deal there. The two sides have been talking for most of the year. Obviously, things kind of took a back burner during the playoffs. But yeah, Reinhardt wants to be a Panther. Him and his fiance or his wife now, they got married last summer. They're very happy down here. He's happy. And also the economics of it, staying in Florida will probably be a little bit easier than moving to another state. There's just a lot of reasons why he wants to stay. And Zito, as we mentioned, he does right by his players. Montour will be an interesting one. I think both players, if they hit the market and they go out there, they're going to get more than what they can get offered in Florida. I do think you have a similar situation to what we saw with the Heat, the Big Three era Heat, where these guys understand that if they take a little bit less off the top, that will help the team be good for years to come. And I think that in turn with the whole state income tax thing kind of plays a big part into the way we're going to see some of the negotiations go down this summer. The Panthers are also
hockey players are different than NBA players. They're not all about the money. They actually care about the environment that they're in too at the same time. So
nobody wants to go to a Panthers 2000s team. Okay. Right. They want, nobody is going to be, I have 4 decisions to make. These teams are offering me money. I'm going to take less to play for the shit team. No. The team has to be good. But now, that's what Zito and Caldwell and Viola, that's what they've created. It's a destination that players want to come to. They have created a locker room that is famous around the league for being one of the tightest, close-knit, fun rooms to be a part of. This is where players want to go. They will probably take a little bit less money for an opportunity to play for this coach, for this team in this city. And that in and of itself, is mind-blowing that the Panthers have gotten to that point. It is really cool.
By the way, I just found it funny that, and I know there's really nothing to it to a certain extent, and then to the other stuff they controlled. But, they didn't, it never goes well for the President's Cup winner, okay? They were the President's Cup winner a couple of years ago, and it didn't go well for them, obviously. They were headed for the President's Cup this year. And then all of a sudden, something happened that they started to not play so well for a little stretch. And then they got back on track, but they kind of stayed in that 3rd and 4th slot in the standings much.
And
For the
they
rest.
just found a way to sneak into winning the division at the very end.
Right. And then they win the Eastern Conference.
Oh man,
Stay away from the fucking trophy like the plague.
they learned some things on the way, right?
Yeah, it was just
Experience
funny.
counts for something.
Yeah.
They go, we're good with the President's Cup. Last year, we don't need to touch the trophy.
Right. And so this year they avoided the President's Cup, or I don't know. They just kind of slid a little bit. And then this year they also said, no, we're not touching that Eastern Conference trophy. And so, it's just kind of funny how things worked out for them and they end up winning the cup, so it's just cool.
I love it.
Yeah, it was weird that they were headed for another President's Cup. Basically.
I don't think that it was on their minds, but you know what? What do I know? Maybe it was all a big plan that they were like, you know what? This is exactly what we want to do. We want to avoid the attention that comes and the potential, curse, whatever, that comes with winning the President's Trophy. But hey, they have 3 new banners coming to that arena. You got a division, you got the conference. What's the third one?
Some cup thing?
Yeah, the Stanley Cup.
Some cup thing.
Oof, man. It's still sinking in, though. I cannot believe it.
By the way, no chance of trading for the other Kachuck, right?
If I'm Ottawa, I would say hell no, because they're built the same. And I mean, you heard Matthew saying when they interviewed him with his brother next to him on the ice, he's like, this guy's built for it more than I am, which kind of blows your mind. So, and Ottawa just made a deal for a Vezina winning goaltender, Linus Ullmark, the other night. So if I'm Ottawa, I'm holding on to that man as hard as I can, because that's the guy you build your playoff team around. Would that be cool? Yes, that would be awesome. I see it happening, not anytime soon.
No,
I'd like to.
It's just funny. I'm watching him there with his bro, and I'm wondering if he's thinking it's a lot warmer down here. They got the state taxes. I could be close to the family and all that, and this place looks and of course Viola does everything freaking first class.
Yeah.
So it's like that's another thing that I and that must get around too, around the players and agents that
the new practice facility.
Yeah.
People are talking about that place because the behind the scenes stuff that the fans don't even get to see, the players area, the lounges, the pool, the sauna, everything that they have for the players, it's unbelievable. It's like the dude from Jurassic Park, spared no expense. They took care of it, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what, again, this is where they're at, because that owner has not cut any freaking corners whatsoever. And if you spend money, now they're going to start getting it back now, because now they're going to be able to sell the paraphernalia. So it's like it's going out of style, and now you can raise your tickets, and now you're going to have a sold out arena.
There's going to be endorsement deals. There's going to be new sponsors. This is going to be a great year for them.
And that platform outside is going to start having people watching games or playoff games and all that kind of stuff. You're going to start building an atmosphere outside too, where you can start to generate revenue also outside. It's just it's going to get out of control, which is going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm happy. I'm excited. I can't wait to see how it turns out, man. This is awesome.
So tell them about the hockey news and, of course, the hockey show.
Yeah, no, all my Panthers coverage, and there's been a lot of it. Everything written goes to thehockeynews.com/Florida. You can catch all my written work there. And then, of course, my very good friend Roy Bellamy and I have been lucky enough to be hosting the hockey show on the Dan Le Batard Show Network for the past almost a year now. And it's been unreal. We've had amazing guests. We've traveled all over, and there's more to come in the coming season. And we're blessed to have the opportunity. But please, we've been having fun. Come check out the show. Have fun with us.
That's right. Have fun with them, because now we actually have ownership that would keep around a really good team. So it's a beautiful. Yes. Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork and catch his work there at the Hockey News and catch the Hockey Show. Follow it there. Subscribe. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy the parade.
Thank you. I will. Hopefully I'll see you there.
No, you will not. No.
not coming north of county line.
No. It has nothing to do with that. It's just you would never catch me going to those things anymore. No.
I used to feel like I never went to the Heat ones. I always felt like it would be like an insane thing to park and to find, and I don't need the headache. But for this one, whether or not I'm there covering it, whatever I'm doing, I have no idea yet. But I'm not gonna miss this one.
Oh, no, and I don't blame you. It's just the only reason I would be there is if I was forced to cover it because I was working for somebody. If not, I'll watch
it on TV.
On TV, bro, I'll be really happy on TV. If there's something I'm happy about these last 4 years, and well, there's a lot of things I'm happy about, but one of the things is I do whatever the hell I want to do. So that's
brother, you've earned it. You've earned it.
So I'm blessed.
This parade.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that one I will go to because I was 7 years old when 7 and 8 when they last won, and I don't even know if we had a parade back then. I don't think we had anything.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I do remember kind of the games, watching them with my dad, but I don't remember much, bro. It was just one of those.
We'll get there.
The Dolphin one I would go to because that's a once in a lifetime thing. So no doubt about that. All right, my brother, we will catch up down the line. Have a great off season and enjoy the parade.
All right, brother. Be well.
You got it. There you go. The great David Dwork, Hockey News and the Hockey Show. Make sure you subscribe. Amazing stuff, man. Amazing stuff.
This is the